Welcome to Pone Flicks Talks About Movies and Crap. I may come up with a better name if I decide to do more of these, which I may or may not. But today's subject is going to be one of those hotly debated topics that everybody thinks they know the answer to, and nobody does. I am, of course, referring to the worst movie ever made. You probably think you've seen this. Everyone thinks they've seen this, though they all disagree on what it is. You go to any dedicated message board for a movie, you'll find some jackass there claiming it's the worst movie ever made, no matter what it is. They're all wrong. None of us have seen the worst movie ever made. There's too many. Just going around saying something's the worst ever is ridiculous considering how much shit is out there. Even if the movies you've seen include stuff like this.
Freeze, ice, 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 freeze, ice.
Or even this. Not even in the ballpark. Today I'm here to present to you Armageddon, the final challenge. No, not the Michael Bay Armageddon. That's what you thought I was talking about, didn't you? I know this because every time I mention this film, people invariably say, "Oh, Michael Bay, he's a motherfucker. That Michael Bay is a total retardo. His movies totally suck. Michael Bay eats it." Damn old Michael Bay, son of a bitch, I tell you, I hate that cracking son of a goddamn asshole. Michael Bay sucks, especially since I keep giving him money year after year. Michael Bay. All true. But Michael Bay's film is not called Armageddon, the Final Challenge. It's just called Armageddon. So why does everyone confuse the two? Because no one's ever heard of this piece of shit. No one's ever seen it. How did we come to see it? Exactly one reason. The box art. Yes, that's a Y-wing, and that's an A-wing, with a little bit cut out of the front and then stuck onto the side, because that's gonna fool George Lucas. So we had to figure out what the hell was this movie that was so desperately trying to get its makers sued. Oh my god. We start off with this pretentious rambling about fear permutators and a New World Order bank. I wonder if they're the villains. With a name like that, it's so hard to tell. After which, there's some narration. Some whiny, babbling, unctuous, nonsense narration about a bunch of shit that has absolutely nothing to do with the story.
Only the infinity of the depths of a man's mind can really tell the story.
In those days, we were oblivious of our part in the universe and our forefathers. Nearby worlds would be affected. In those days, the days before the great spaceship crashed.
There is no great spaceship crash.
Man had put up kilometer cities in the sky to refine the ores, both the contamination and the inclination of United Nations thought to favor the strike. But before the advent of space-adapted humans, this was mankind's first push against the Stargate.
Stargate? Space-adapted humans? What the fuck are these people talking about? None of this film takes place in space. It takes place in a guy's apartment where he walks around talking on the phone and having dreams about shit. Now this film was made sometime in the 1990s, a point at which I think most film goers felt confident that they had seen the last of spaceships dangling from strings. White strings. You could at least have paid for a black magic marker to sort of color over those so they wouldn't be so obvious. Oh, a nice light bulb sticking out of the back of your model there. So we meet our hero, Michael Edelander, who looks kind of like a really young Arnold Schwarzenegger with a terrible haircut, as he's flying his futuristic car over a landscape made out of cardboard boxes shot in fog. As he drives through a piece of tarp into a normal garage, we enter one of many things that will supposedly be Michael Edelander's home throughout the course of this movie. And the first thing that happens is he sees an ad for one of these.
You wouldn't believe what this pretty face can do. Apart from the usual around the house, Amanda's good with the kids. What's more, we've given her the sensuality of a pleasure droid.
And immediately decides, hey, that sounds like a great idea. I'm gonna pick up a plastic point bot. Our hero. But he can't do it. Because, I don't know, he's got a problem with his bank, which he attempts to solve for the next 10 minutes, talking to various people all of whom tell him that his credit's overdrawn, and they can't help him, and he talks to somebody else, and they can't help him, and then he nudges them a little, and they can't help him either, until finally he ends up with this guy.
Ah, yes. Citizen Irlander.
Now this fatherfucker is Colonel Gehring. Why a colonel is in charge of a bank is never particularly explained. He comes on to basically run through all the different varieties of crazed nutcase he'll be portraying throughout the course of this film, and accuse Michael of someday, not yet, but someday being able to qualify for some high-end level of credit, which for some reason is perceived as horribly threatening to the government. He must therefore be dealt with.
What are you talking about?
You're interrupting an important game.
Oh my.
Fortunately, there's a noise outside. And he goes outside to see what's going on, and he sees something off screen. Oh my god, what is that down there? I don't know. We couldn't film it on the day, so we just did this cheesy ass wipe and show him walking into his house with this girl. So after he brings the girl in, after she... Wait a minute, what exactly happened? Was that the sound of a girl collapsing in his driveway? Crashed her car into his garage? Maybe she had a bowel movement full of pipes and bits of washers and stuff. Anyway, she sits around his house staring out the window, talking about her father, by which I mean the narration describes that she talked about her father and stared out the window.
The girl had an air of unreadiness about her.
Suddenly, without warning, the mysterious bank guy shows up at Michael's house with a sword in order to collect on some debt.
Nobody likes irritation.
Despite which, this movie.
Multiple murdering's no laughing matter.
What are you doing in my house? God damn these coats! Oh, thank God that was just a dream. Ugh, or is it? Yeah, apparently so. They never explained that part.
Despite the ineffectual struggle I was putting up against the banks, the girl provided me with the mental comfort that enabled me to keep up the fight.
Make a note, kids. That's what they call it in the future. Mental comfort.
I wish I knew your name.
Why ask unnecessary questions when you're already getting all that mental comfort for free?
I just had to drop by. It was getting so quiet.
Why?
You're a liar.
Oh, thank God that was just a dream, too. Holy shit, what does that mean? I don't know, they never explained that part either.
I'm not going to die.
Damn. Fortunately, the problem of what happened to Voyu, that's her name, Voyu's dad, is solved when he suddenly walks into Michael's garage.
I'm Plato, Voyu's father. I've been searching for her for days.
Oh, thank God that was accomplished by the simple act of having him step on screen from off screen.
Gujiana City, deformed offspring of quasi-religious quibblings, thermonuclear fireball design,
Okay,
achieved at
excuse me,
ruinous
but what the
cost.
fuck is he talking about here? Who wrote this nonsense? One guy? Are you kidding me? This is obviously written by committee, 15 people throwing out ideas, none of which made it into the film, but all of which were mentioned.
Ironically also, last stronghold of the rebellion.
Ooh, the rebellion! Finally! Yeah! Kick some ass! Hang on. Way too optimistic. Scale back. It's probably gonna look more like this. And yet, no, even that's being way too optimistic. This is the rebellion. This dude in a living room,
How did you know that?
painting some
I
shit.
knew.
Apparently he makes a living doing artwork for 70s throwback bands.
If I'm right, God's scheduled a visit with us all.
I returned home to many unresolved thoughts.
Home? You live in a movie theater?
Had I started to lose my grip on reality? Every waking minute was a dream, and every dream had the foreboding of reality. I found sanctuary in the dream pod. I went in search of the universal mind.
The film
illnesses
really
that lay
is
within me.
desperately hoping we're going to
Dream
take
Pod
this shit
expands
seriously at this
consciousness.
point. So what is the Dream Pod? It allows him to remember a time so long ago that he looked exactly the same as he does now. Though apparently it was long enough ago that they still spun wax platters and used reel to reel. So maybe it was a really goddamn long time ago. So while working as a DJ, he hears that a war is coming and gets on the air to say goodbye to his wife,
All those memories.
who unfortunately dies in the blinding light of this special effect that was too expensive to create, so it just sort of bleeds in the windows. This part of the dream pod is a little less obvious. This isn't something that ever happened, or ever will happen in the movie. It's a strange, meandering nonsense dream sequence where the two characters wear stupid clothes, are badly chroma keyed, and they play CG chess for a while, accuse each other of cheating, and then this guy crawls over the table to bitch slap Michael first, and then pull a Greedo on him and shoot him full of holes. Unfortunately, this isn't real either, which means Michael continues to be in the film for the rest of its running time. Of course, this is interrupted by the fact that the crazy bank guy has showed up in the house again, and this time, it's not a dream.
Hello, baby. Shipment. Done that. I need my teeth. Talking!
Like, you remember what I said at the beginning of this about how it's a bad idea to call anything the worst ever? I'm going to waive that on account of this worst fight music ever. Ever! However, it turns out that the Joker wannabe's attack is just a distraction, so some other character, who is never seen and therefore didn't have to get paid, could sneak into the house and kill Voyu, who was, I guess, the actual target?
Voyu's gone. She's been blown up, carbonized, or whatever you people call it.
Stabbed?
Voyu was an android. She can be repaired.
Of course she's a robot. We knew she was a robot. Or at least we knew she was a robot if we looked at the picture on the back of the box, which shows half of her face being removed, which is not actually anywhere in the real movie because they couldn't afford it. So here the master plan is revealed, via some horribly mumbled dialogue that's very difficult to hear.
I don't understand.
Nor did I until she explained it all to me. The Force.
The Force?
No, let's not needlessly complicate things.
That message you sent to your wife the night of the Holocaust made your voice the most famous in history.
No, let me just get this straight. This guy has the most famous voice in the world. Not maybe this.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched.
Or this.
A date which will live in infamy.
I could even deal with this.
A new power is rising.
No, this.
All those memories.
So this is what they're going to do. The real Voyu is living on Venus. She's going to hack this plastic space satellite so that Michael and her dad can beam this important message to the world.
This is Crankor Exploration Force speaking. Stand by for an important message.
As of midnight tonight, December 24th, Jesus Christ of Nazareth will return to our planet for a second time.
It's overloading every channel. What a powerful beam he must have. Look at that modulation.
The Messiah is merciful. The intent of our hearts is the qualification.
So why was this message even necessary then? I mean, if God's just going to take the good people, whether you've warned them or not. Or...
Take to the bomb shelters. Fire will rain from the sky.
Oh, I'm sorry, you were lying. God's going to judge who survives based on who's above ground at the time he rains fire.
We were to learn later that our message had been heard by every man, woman, and child across the inhabited worlds of our solar system.
And that includes this guy. That having been done, Michael walks to a coffee shop to meet Voyu, even though she's on Venus. Seriously, dude, the detective outfit makes you look like a bigger dork than you already do. And that's hard. God, I hate it when that happens. You go to meet a girl in a restaurant, and she stands you up by vanishing into thin air right in front of your eyes. And so finally the major face-off comes here behind the Chicky Dishy Fishy restaurant.
Voyou had missed the rendezvous.
By evaporating into thin air after apparently actually having been there for a second. Anyway, Colonel Gehring chases Michael up the street in the rain, slowly plodding after him as apparently he's channeling Jason from the Friday the 13th movies. I mean, seriously, how is Michael not like a mile ahead of the guy at this point?
You couldn't avoid that last hit.
I'm pretty sure the others hit him too. Not that it matters, none of these laser wounds seem to do anything.
Mr. Michael Throne.
Throne? What happened to Edelander?
A mistake's made.
It appears that this guy finally has Michael dead to rights, but my one weakness, being punched. Now Michael gets the drop on him, but for some stupid reason decides not to shoot him and gives him back his gun. You know, for once I'm inclined to agree with this crazy fuck.
First rule of multiple murder, Michael. Never spare your opponent.
What is this doing? Multiple shit. There's one guy. Just count him. One. We're done.
You're right. What's the use?
Sweet dreams. It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. Went to bed, bumped his head, couldn't get up in the morning. It's raining.
Oh, sorry, is the movie still on? Oh, crap, it is. Thank God that's all over.
Yes, and I love you despite the fact that we've never actually met, not even once.
Oh, you're squeezing one of my mini mortal gunshot wounds.
Oh, just man up and get over it.
And so, having each found a complete stranger to give them mental comfort, these two drive off into the night, secure in the knowledge they can now live in a world wherein Michael no longer has to face horribly exorbitant overdraft fees or whatever stupid bit of crap served as a springboard for this entire nonsensical story to begin with.
But even more astounding was what we found sitting in our sky the next morning. Christ's vehicles had arrived on the earth.
What does God need with a starship?
Yes, there you have it. Even Star Trek V looks intelligent compared to this movie.
All of the promised grandeur, might, and marmoreal majesty of the New Jerusalem was there for all the peoples of the world to see.
So essentially, it's one of those crazy 70s religious dramas about the mark of the beast.
Heaven descended. Christ's armies appeared and all the world became a battlefield.
That's a good thing.
But that is another story.
Hopefully it's not another story. Just get off. Shut up. Get off the screen.
The story is begun.
No, we're done with you. Off, away. Be gone, you crappy movie. You with your rambling nonsense plot, your literally transparent special effects, crappy blue screen shots, random, pointless lesbianism, and complete absence of any Star Wars spacecraft coming along to jazz this thing up with a little actual excitement. But you know, if you look at it, you can almost see a pattern starting to emerge. Sure, nothing makes any sense, but if you look a little closer, you start to see what they had in mind.
If you couldn't afford an off-world fare or an immigration license,
a new life awaits you in the off-world colony.
The foreskin job is Pris. A basic pleasure, Mom.
Bishop to King 7. Check.
Yes, somebody desperately wanted to make Blade Runner. Take this scene, where Voyou is found dead wearing a flesh-tone leotard, just so she'll look like Pris's death scene in Blade Runner, even though she doesn't wear this outfit at any other point in the entire film.
Quite an experience to live in fear, isn't it?
Add that to the random shots of floodlights coming in people's windows, pleasure bots, androids. This film really is a lot like Blade Runner, except for the directing, the acting, the writing, the story actually making any sense whatsoever, and it actually being in any way entertaining at all.
I don't know why he saved my life. Perhaps in those last moments he realized that it didn't matter what he did, this film wouldn't make any sense anyway.
So there's Armageddon, the final challenge. Is this the worst movie ever made? No. And that's horrifying. But I can think of 2 movies right off the top of my head that are even worse, though granted one of them is a sequel to the other one. Feeders. Saw this in a blockbuster too. How it got in, I have no idea. And yet, the production values on this still look stellar compared to the sequel, which has, good God, the worst looking aliens ever made. Yes, I'll say it again. Ever. It also has this guy with a voice like Barney from The Simpsons, dressed in a Santa suit, zapping aliens with a laser gun.
Those aliens! Those pesky aliens!
Does that make Feeders 2 the worst movie ever made? Probably not, because we've seen it. Or I've seen it. Somebody's seen it. The worst movie ever made is something probably so bad, no one's seen it. No one would release it. It was too horrible to be shown to human beings. Think on that. This, okay to show to human beings. Something else, not even that good. So the next time you see something in the theater and you think it's a big piece of crap, it very well might be. But it's not the worst. It's not even close. There is no bottom to the barrel. This is Corn Pone Flicks, and I leave you with the parting thought of, be glad that one of the worst movies you've ever seen probably is the Michael Bay Armageddon. You'll probably be happier for it.
How could it all be any worse? I belong to fucking curse. But Armageddon, this is hell. But Armageddon, this is hell. But Armageddon, this is hell.